Mässävästi stille specifikt något rakt vid vimmen.
The FBI targets the Insane Clown Posse.
It's the first time a fan base has ever been labeled a gang by the FBI.
Yeah, we should talk about the Juggalos.
By day, they are your accountant, your neighbor, your cousin. But when night falls, they morph into an alter ego. Fearsome to some, a symbol of decadence to others, but unified in one commonality. Love of the Insane Clown Posse.
The wicked clown dripping.
Whoa! You see that shit, Jay? One swing, it came right the fuck off.
See you coming, dog.
Welcome to the Trash Cats Trash Cast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're whooping and wildin', clowning and crumping, discovering and discussing none other than the Insane Clown Posse.
Whoop whoop.
But first, Steven, how was your week?
Not good, but that's okay. Because you know it wasn't very good either?
What's that?
The Insane Clown Posse album, Hell's Pit.
Oh no! Let me act surprised for a minute. Let me get a couple takes to show you that. Make it sound
You're
like
shocked.
I wasn't to make it sound like I was shocked by that.
So I've never listened to a full album by Insane Clown Posse. I've listened to a lot of Insane Clown Posse over the years, but never an album. So I was going in with an open mind, but I had a lot of preconceived notions, right?
Yeah, of course.
Had a lot of clown baggage. And you know how much clowns can fit in their baggage. There's a lot. So I had a very mixed experience. Overall, I'm honestly a bit impressed because it was so much better than I expected it to be. But most of my preconceived notions were indeed correct, where it's so rough. I mean, it's pretty bad, but honestly, it was probably the most fun I've had listening to an album in a really long time.
Well, that's good.
I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it. And honestly, they have a lot of moments of brilliance. Like, they do a lot of really good things right, It's just the things that they are bad at are just really cringy and hard to stomach.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like that was like their peak before they like really fell into a lot of cringier stuff.
Yeah, you
like a lot
you
of
said
the
this was
newer-
the album I should check out.
That's the one that I feel like, I think it gets overlooked by a lot of people because it's not
It was like their ninth
their
album.
typical. Yeah, it's not their typical style. Number one,
Very
there's
experimental.
the motif throughout the whole thing is like, this is what hell is about, and the experiences of
Underground
loss and
baby.
grief, and like you're in your own personal hell kind of thing.
It was sad and lonely and fun.
Yeah. It's still very carnival vibes. It's still very goofy. There's the song about, going out, shooting people and killing the guy at Burger King. And
I went across the street and walked up to the drive-thru window at a Burger King. I knocked on a glass and a kid leaned out to tell me they were closed. Close this.
taking people hostages at the 7-Eleven.
I started hopping through backyards and ran into a 7-Eleven. Jumped up on the counter, aimed my shit and blew a hole in his melon.
Blasting spaghetti into a kid's face.
Now I'm in their yard with a shotgun and knife. Cut the screen, went in and found the kid. Blew a bowl of spaghetti in the side of his head.
Hiding from the cops in a clothing hanger of... There was a really funny line.
They can't find me, I'm hiding in a flannel coat rack.
It's really good shit.
It was. Honestly, if anything, it made me think higher of them. And I already, we're doing this episode for a reason. We both have a lot of respect for them. But I've never been, fans of their music. And I would say that's still true. But if anything, I respect them more.
Yeah, that's super fair.
Yeah.
And I feel like Hell's Pit especially also, it sticks out to me because, when I started listening to ICP was right before that album came out. So, that was the first, when you find a band and they put out a new album and you're like, oh,
That's
cool,
a big
this
deal,
is the new shit. Yeah. It was 2003 or 2002 or something like that.
Yeah, especially for the ages we were at the time.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
Something...
Absolute children.
Dude, the Underground Baby track is rad as fuck.
Yeah, it's very
Under the
fun.
ground like Saddam.
I'm hiding under the floor like Saddam, but I'm doing it because I love it, and I'm underground, baby. Real underground, baby. I'm hiding.
And it's 20 minutes. That was that was a good groove to go out on. And then something, I don't know if you go back and listen to it, I'm not sure how much Nine Inch Nails you did, but I swear to fucking God, whoever produced that album, Hell's Pit, was highly influenced by Trent Reznor.
I seen a headless body that resembles Jay's, but I doubt it. I seen a centaur, I threw a pitchfork at it above. I watch it fall into a bloody patch of bodies and blood. I'm fucking about to Earl. I close my eyes and walk on.
They
That's
use
possible.
a ton of the almost exact synth effects and sounds that Trent's known for, where I think they might have even sampled things from Nine Inch Nails tracks. If it's not, it's just a big influence. And then, so there was definitely an inspiration of Nine Inch Nails-ish, and then there was a splash of Tim Burton.
I can't run to my mama house, I know that she would never understand. I might as well be a man and finish what the fuck I began. Fuck it. I walked out and started walking away like I ain't seen a fucking thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's cartoony.
Very reminiscent of Jack Skellington songs, with the vocals coming in and out and changes in vocal style, tons of skit. I mean, it's honestly, it really was the most fun I've had listening to an album in a long time.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Like I said, I like that one start to finish. That's if I was going to listen to a full ICP album, it would probably either be that or Riddlebox, and that's Riddlebox is such a different vibe entirely. I feel like Hell's Pit is more, at least in theme with some of the other rap that I would listen to anyways, of, you know, horrorcore, but like to a point of.
I know that's why you like it.
It's a showcase.
Yeah. It's fun and goofy. The reason I just never could get fully into it is because I get annoyed when things aren't serious enough. Where it's. But this has its place. Clearly, their success shows that, and I'm glad it exists for sure.
You know, what's funny is I know like that's also part of the thing they got criticism for was the fact that like they would make such light of violence. The topics of the violence and the things that they talked about.
Meet ICP, the Insane Clown Posse, a dynamic duo driving their fans into a frenzy. They use graphic violence in their act to get their message across.
And it's obviously so for fun. It's cartoonish.
Exactly. It's such a goofy, silly, you know, they're just clowning around, man.
It's violence that only like parents would take super serious.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, overall, my week kind of lame, but doing okay. What about you? What's new?
Well, I went to a wedding this past week. I didn't listen to your advice of never go to a wedding.
I forgot about that.
But honestly, I had a good time. I was designated driver to a couple of friends and family. And
that's two mistakes. You went to the wedding and you drove?
Yeah. Honestly, it was fun being the sober one of like watching everyone else get shit-faced at a wedding and like reeling them in, like making sure they're drinking their water, playing the adult for a change.
Mother Goose in it.
I'm also probably the youngest person there, and I'm being the adult. But while we were there at some point, this is after everyone's been drinking and having a good old time, we're standing outside, you know, because it was cooler outside, and someone I had never met but was friends with some of the people I was with comes over and introduces his new wife who they hadn't met yet. And, you know, everyone's just kind of meeting each other meeting this woman for the first time. And she gets telling us, somehow the conversation turns to these, her book club and the wild books that they read. And, one of the,
now, is this a saucy book club?
Oh, mostly yes.
Because most book clubs tend to lean that way. My mom is very annoyed that her book group has gone saucy. It's very funny to hear.
Yeah, but in the realm of comical spicy books,
sure.
Where like, is it a spicy book? Yes, but it does not deserve to be. Such as the gem that she actually laid out like the entire plot for us, because it's not a very long book. But the book is called Unhinged, and it's about a door, a sentient door who falls in love with the woman who's like he's the door at her apartment.
This is like a fly on the wall, but it's the door on the hinges.
It's the door,
and the door's being cucked out of love constantly.
Well, yes and no.
Concept,
so,
actually.
I mean, don't worry. He does find a way to speak to her in her dreams and becomes a real man. And then there's I think there's a thing where like every 30 days he turns back into a door, but she can only turn him back into a man by having sex with the door.
Yeah, she has to hump the doorknob, of course.
Yes.
That's what the whole inspiration for this book was. Unhinged, the erotic door romance.
My favorite part of her discussion of the story and like telling us the story was like, and now I know what you're thinking is like, what kind of doorknob do you think it was? And the answer is yes, absolutely. It's the regular knob kind, the big round kind.
Crystal beveled.
Yeah, but we decided that it's okay because it does have a flared base. So it's okay for insertion.
You sent me a clip of this too.
Yeah, there was an audiobook, of course, and I actually asked her because there have been some people at our work that have been asking for book recommendations, and I said, does this have an audiobook? And she said, like most terrible spicy books, it does.
Should I play it?
Yes, you absolutely should.
Just tell me. I think it's like 5 minutes, so feel free.
The whoever the voice that read it, I mean, like,
oh,
props
that's
to
Richard
whoever.
Pendragon and Raven Wildwood, of course.
I mean, good on them for getting the gig. Those are some fake ass names if I've ever seen them.
Yeah, written by Vera Valentine.
Yeah.
I'm 90% sure this is an AI.
Yeah, that super makes sense.
Chapter 1.
Okay. It's a good start.
As a door, I didn't know when I fell in love with Tana, only that I most assuredly was. It might have been the first time she'd laid her soft fingertips on the cool brass of my knob. The day she first toured the apartment I faithfully guarded. I'd watched, fascinated by the play of light against her cheek, as she'd signed the papers on the chipped formica counter of the tiny kitchen just beyond my threshold.
I don't think AI
It
could
may have
conceive
been
this.
when I noticed the care
Yeah,
she
it could.
always took sliding the key into my lock. In the 6 months she'd spent safely tucked behind my back at night, she'd never jiggled her key uncomfortably or twisted the knob too hard. No,
She did it
not
just right.
Tana. She always made sure the lock had unlocked before she tried to enter, and never tried to force her way beyond a sticky catch in the deadbolt. She wasn't like my previous tenants, a gruff pair of male roommates that shouldered me too hard and let me slam even when they didn't have to. No, they hadn't been civilized enough to lay out a
This is
beautiful welcome
outstanding.
mat like
It
Tana
really
did,
is.
or sweep the pitted
and
concrete steps.
You can play as much or as little of that as you want to, because
Hey,
it's
if-
5 minutes. There's
if-
there's a very generous preview.
If I've been able to listen to the entire Quran this week, I clearly can get through Unhinged, okay?
That's fair.
And I
Super
bet
fair.
Unhinged is better. Holy shit, the Quran, guys. Oh my God. But we'll talk about that soon enough. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there. I can't wait to get educated.
Most
And by-
repetitive, uninspired piece of literature I have ever had to have the suffering of enduring. Holy shit.
The
Brutal.
the other really important part about this introduction to the story and this woman was when she, as we were like parting ways when the wedding was over, it was like shortly after she explained this story. At this point, multiple times, because people would join the conversation halfway and she'd have to start over. She said, please don't remember me as just the unhinged girl or the girl that just knows about unhinged. And I'm like, I'm sorry. This is the most memorable part of this wedding.
Yeah,
like the vows were beautiful and it was a great service and the people involved were fantastic. But also, this is the only thing I'm going to be telling people about all
Anyone
week.
will remember. Yeah.
And every time that whenever I tell someone new now, the best part is every time that now you're looking at doors, because there's the whole thing about
Changed
like
her whole worldview.
the knob is the penis of the door. And then there's like this whole, and the other thing why we think it might be AI is there's like a whole section about shopping for a new door at Home Depot. And like he's getting jealous of these new doors. But now every time that you go to like a hardware store and you're looking and you're just walking past like doors or doorknobs or anything, resembling them, that you're not going to dwell on it maybe, but it's just going to flit across your mind for just a second.
That's the impact.
That these
trash
doorknobs
cast.
are the penises of doors.
Yes. I like that she came to an event meeting new people. She had material ready to go. I appreciate that effort.
Yeah.
That's
100%. Like immediately she's interesting, cool person. I bet she's a great hang.
I'm glad. Well, I hope someday she finds out she made it onto the podcast already.
Yeah.
A podcast about Insane Clown Posse.
I wouldn't say her name on the podcast anyways, but I don't remember it. I just remember the story.
Well, should we kick this off?
Yeah, that's how my week's been. Yeah, what's good? I can get into this.
Suicide hotline. May I help you?
Yeah.
Insane Clown Posse.
Well, I'm about to fucking kill myself.
Listen, you don't want to do that, okay? You don't want to do that.
I'm gonna... There's so many fucking reasons why I don't even need to be here anymore.
There's
I'm
no
gonna put a
reason.
slug in my fucking head.
The Insane Clown Posse, often abbreviated as ICP, is an American hip-hop duo. Formed in Detroit in 1989, ICP's best-known lineup consists of rappers Joseph Bruce, a.k.a. Violent J.
We represent people that have been, that were born without the silver spoon in the mouth, but instead with a rusty fork.
And Joseph Utzler, a.k.a. Shaggy Two Dope.
We don't go out with celebrity bros. We bang titty dancers. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Absolutely, man. Lots of them.
Insane Clown Posse performs a style of hardcore hip-hop known as horrorcore, and it's known for its elaborate live performances.
Now, I was going to leave some of this kind of blank because I feel like so many people have heard of ICP, but it's occurred to me in the months since writing this that not many people know about ICP anymore. Like, you know, all the old people like us do.
But the youngins.
Yeah, I've had all, you know, we hire these, you know, college kids for work, and, you know, we'd get talking about music sometimes, and sometimes ICP would come up in conversations, mostly because it's, you know, like that's what I listened to when I was like their age for sure, but also, you know, we're in Detroit.
Right.
And that's, you know, it's like they're hometown heroes basically, but they kind of actually, mostly they get a lot of hate here, but
yeah,
you know, people in Detroit know who they are. And, that's apparently not the case, but like, their stage shows are crazy.
Yeah.
It's, you know, they're clowns. It's like full carnival shit. They're known for throwing Fago all over the place.
Have you noticed clown porn is having its heyday right now?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but not because of Insane Clown Posse, which I think is just a shame that they missed the boat on that, you know?
Yeah, really. You know, maybe instead what it is like them being around when they were, you know, allowed the
Head of their time.
youth to grow up and decide we want to make clown porn.
I thought they did do something with that. I know they often have like, you know, the gathering that they'll have live sex or.
I don't think they advertise like they host like live sex events. I think people just have sex in public at the gathering.
There are times they'll do it on stage though.
That might be true, but that's not like usually it'll be like, you know, Miss Juggalette you know, performance where it's like a Miss Universe but for a Juggalette, and then, you know, just shit happens.
It's good
stuff. Or, you know, wet t-shirt contest and mud wrestling or whatever, and then it turns into something else.
Late one hot summer night, crowds of people gather in a remote wooded area. Everywhere, faces are covered in clown makeup and arms and legs are covered in Hatchet Man tattoos. By the end of the night, everyone will be covered in sticky, cheap soda. These people are called Juggalos, and they've come to see their favorite rap group, Insane Clown Posse. Juggalos have built a cultural identity around the music, the rap duo, and what it represents.
Have you seen them live?
ICP, yeah, I've seen them a couple times.
Yeah.
Great shows. They're always a fucking trip. The first time I actually went to go see him was at Bogart's in Cincinnati. And
the worst venue in Ohio.
It's pretty fucking brutal. But the entire street up and down was just littered with Fago bottles.
The underdog persona started to inform what ICP did on stage.
And then they kind of stumbled upon this gimmick where they would dress up like clowns.
All these people, they view the underclass, poor people as like carnival freaks, and that's why we wear the clown makeup.
And that's also why ICP brought the cheap soda brand Fago on stage, to let the audience know that they should embrace where they came from.
One of the group's favorite gimmicks, fountains of Fago pop, spraying endlessly into the adoring audience.
So that became part of their whole spectacle, is they dress up like clowns and they perform this horrorcore music and they would spray the audiences with Fago.
Now they have a cult-like following and sell out every concert they play in Metro Detroit.
And they developed a reputation, bifurcated. You know, they had fans, they were, had kind of this period in the 90s when they almost broke into the mainstream, where they had platinum records, where MTV was kind of interested in them. They were on, major labels, and that never really happened.
Everyone was just throwing it all over the place and at each other, and
that's fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Originally known as JJ Boys, an inner city posse. Holy shit, that's That's rough.
JJ Boys in the Royal Oak Township. We're the JJ Boys. We're the JJ Boys. We're the JJ Boys. We're the JJ Boys on the microphone stand, and we're kicking it live with a Vega in our hand, Master T's on the table, not working in the stable, and honesty, this jacket is the Fago label. We're the JJ Boys.
The group introduced supernatural and horror-themed lyrics as a means of distinguishing themselves stylistically. The duo founded the independent record label Psychopathic Records and produced and starred in the feature films Big Money Hustlers and Big Money Rustlers.
One fucking question, tell me where my
Juggalos at.
This life is a blessing, thank God that I
chose rap.
Wicked clowns in your town know that they're
Shows packed.
down till I'm in the ground. Everybody feeling when I get it, so you better get the medic. I'm about to blow motherfuckers wig back, dig that, breaking your bones.
They formed their own professional wrestling promotion, Juggalo Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Championship wrestling?
Yep, that's correct.
Oh boy. And have collaborated with many hip-hop and rock musicians, like Tech-9, Tech-Nina.
Yeah, for sure.
Check the sound scan. Look around, man. Wake up, look at your Jacob, you and Killer Clown land. Face paint and juggalettes with bubble butts. And we rock it for Sedini women in a...
The songs of Insane Clown Posse center thematically on the mythology of the Dark Carnival, a metaphoric limbo in which the lives of the dead are judged by one of several entities. The Dark Carnival is elaborated through a series of stories called Joker's Cards, which are all the albums, each of which offers a specific lesson designed to change the evil ways of people before the end consumes us all.
So each album's considered a Joker card?
Correct.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of storytelling. In their youth, poverty and a difficult home life drove Bruce, which is Violent J, to move in with Rudy, the rude boy, Hill in River Rouge, a city near the industrial southwest side of Detroit. Feeling a sense of home and belonging, Bruce formed a gang called Inner City Posse, which was composed of Joseph Utzler, Rudy Hill, and other friends of Bruce, and a number of other connections he had made in southwest Detroit. Bruce was jailed for 90 days in 1989 for death threats, robbery, and violating probation. This experience convinced him to reduce his involvement in gang life.
We're entertainers. Our only goal isn't to change the world and make everything better. I don't give a damn about the world. But when it comes to it, we throw good things in there. You know, we're not totally evil guys.
Back on the streets, Bruce Utzler and Utzler's brother John performed hip-hop music at local nightclubs using the stage names Violent J, Too Dope, and John Kick Jazz under the name of their gang, Inner City Posse. In late 1991, the group had the problem of having spent more money on production than was covered by returns. The group decided that its gangsta rap style was the cause. Most MCs at the time used similar styles, making it difficult for Inner City Posse to distinguish itself stylistically. Bruce suggested the band adapt to the horrorcore genre in a bid to have Detroit represent acid rap. After the change in musical style, the group decided it needed a new name. Utzler suggested keeping the ICP initials to inform the community that Inner City Posse was not defunct. Several names were considered before Bruce recalled his dream of a clown running around in Delray, which became the inspiration for the group's new name, Insane Clown Posse.
20 years, 2 platinum albums, 5 gold records, and millions of Juggalos later, Insane Clown Posse sued the FBI, whose National Gang Intelligence Center listed Juggalos as a, quote, loosely organized hybrid gang in a 2011 report.
And that's the beauty of ICP. Even without commercial appeal, they continue to drive massive audiences, especially at their annual retreat, the Gathering of the Juggalos.
The Gathering of the Juggalos was this week-long party that 5,000 people come to. Juggalos always call themselves a family. A lot of these kids are from small towns. The only other people they can talk to are other fans of the band.
They love rap music. They love backyard wrestling.
And the people that the music appeals to, a lot of times are people that have gone through their own tough times, and this is like the only band in the world that they hear talking about that.
So who are the Juggalos? Are they a fervent fan base, a cult, or a legitimate threat to society? After criminal activity by members of the Juggalo Nation,
2 men calling themselves Juggalos are arrested after the body of 21-year-old Michael Goucher is found in the woods.
the FBI puts another label on them: gang members. Coming up, the Juggalos deal with very real and severe consequences from their new moniker.
We're not a gang, we're family!
Now that they're declared a gang, they all have a common enemy now, the FBI.
Mr. FBI, Mr. Officer, tell me why you want me in a coffin, sir. Is it because I wear my hatchet tat? Or cause me and my fellas got matching tats? Is it because we like to hang out and be scrubs? Must be thugs out here peddling drugs. But let me tell ya, all that meddling does is makes us wanna leave you embedded in slugs. Free speech, motherfucker. Check this out. I want some pussy or I'ma shoot a cop in the mouth.
Based on a few isolated criminal incidents involving the Juggalos, the federal government officially designated the Juggalos as a gang.
So first of all, I want to start off with the fact that a big push of this came out of Utah. Fuck Utah.
Yeah, all the Latter-day Saints and fucking weirdos out there.
It's a very weird place. I've never once heard a good story about anyone from Utah or anything that happened there.
No.
People like to give Ohio shit for being a boring state, but at the very least, at least Ohio isn't Utah.
You know, one time I drove all the way to Utah overnight. I got out and I pissed and I drove all the way back home. It's a true story.
just to piss on Utah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Not
cool.
a good place.
It sucks. Sucks to piss in, sucks to be in.
Terrible experience.
There is an FBI document available on the official FBI Vault website that mostly reads like a bunch of cops trying to piece together a bunch of different puzzles that don't go together. Most of it's all redacted, and what remains is the executive equivalent of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
I heard Special Agent Bobo was on that case.
He absolutely was.
Yeah, and he really boofed it, you know?
They really
just couldn't quite handle it.
They donked the whole thing, man, in a bad way. So I think we didn't actually cover it earlier. I think I left it out of the framework here, but in case anyone doesn't know, Juggalos are the diehard fans of the ICP. They are
symbolized by the infamous Hatchet Man.
Yeah. You know, and it really is. It's such a cult following when you have people that are, you know, a band that's kind of hated by everyone. When you have the group of people that, you know, like, actually, I like this, or this represents me. This is like, you know, makes me feel, you know, more normal within my own skin. You know, those people are going to surround each other. And that's why, you know, you have the gathering of the Juggalos and stuff like that.
They basically allowed poor white trailer trash kids all over the world to survive together.
Yeah, exactly. They all found each other and found a semblance of family.
For the fam ain't right for you. Then speed by this damn cipher, dude. We fat chicks, hicks, black dicks, clits, psychics, bikers, dykers, fags, slackers, crackers, junkies, druggies, thugs, scrubs, rubbernecks, and hags, slugs, hackers, bums, lackers, winners, sinners, tweakers, drag queens, riches, bitches, geezers, kitties, jerks, experts, fat flirts, and gypsies with ADD, HIV, Hep C, epilepsy, asthma, stress, and zits, arthritis, meningitis, Crohn's, herpes, scabies, and bitch tits. We movers, shakers, plumbers, painters, undertakers, pizza makers, lumberjacks, nuns for crack. Some get slapped and stumble back, but we real to each other. Bust them up, slug them up, fuck them up. We die for each other. Gag them up, slug them up, bag them up, write them up, take them up.
I mock it, but I truly, that is why the community aspect and just determination of the duo is really what is the most commendable. Like they were making their original flyers on fucking napkins.
Yeah,
to this shit. Like they made such a community.
There's stories of them like dating the girl that worked at Kinko's, like just so they could get deals on like Yeah, printing flyers and stuff. And it's like they would take turns. Like one of them would date her for a while, and then it didn't work out so well. And then the other one would date her for a while, and then it didn't work out.
This is not a good story.
It's super not, but it's like this is like the extremes that they would go to like this is like what their life was, just so they could promote themselves, because they didn't have radio play, and like they didn't want to like censor their music to be put on TV and MTV and stuff like that.
And to be clear, they're not particularly smart or talented guys. Like, they are passionate, and they were very determined and hard working. I respect that.
They have hustle, like crazy hustle.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't say they're stupid,
but they're clever.
Yeah, they're not Harvard educated individuals for sure. No. People with ICP tattoos or wearing band merch were subjected to be listed as gang affiliated, even if they were just stopped for a broken taillight. People lost their jobs, lost their right to custody of their kids, lost the ability to apply for public service jobs, including the military. If you had a Hatchet Man sticker on your car, you might as well have been repping MS-13 shit, because that's how that traffic stop was going to go.
It's laughable.
It's the first time a fan base has ever been labeled a gang by the FBI. So you're walking down the street wearing an ICP t-shirt, it's probable cause. The police can and will pull over, photograph you.
Their fan base looks different from every other fan base out there. So Juggalos are upset because it was just like, you look different, we're gonna follow you.
If you get arrested for a crime, you get an automatic gang enhancement, can't get a student loan, can't get social services, can't join the military. It's crazy. But I think it's also tightened the bonds of that community.
I know we've talked about this before, but the whole gang, like, it's so frustrating. Like, they will go down in music history as the first musicians to ever have their fan base criminalized.
Yeah.
And it is laughable it ever happened / still goes on to this day. Like, it's so stupid. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Like, imagine seeing someone playing Jimmy Buffett music in the Kroger parking lot and then arresting him for loitering and charging him with conspiracy to do gang shit because there is another old dude with him. And it's like, parrot heads aren't not that far from Juggalos.
Yeah, like
they still follow him around on tour and do goofy shit. Like, I guess they don't anymore because he's dead. But
we're like calling like,
you know what I mean.
Fish fans a drug gang.
Yeah,
because there's so many psychedelics in one location. Like, and there have been times like drug rings have been busted through, like whether it's festivals or on tour stuff. Like, that is a thing that's been investigated a lot. I'm sure, like with a band like the Grateful Dead, there's people whose whole job it is just to stay on tour to provide drugs across the country. Like, but if you called their whole fan audience a gang, it's laughable.
Yeah. You know, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, there were some quote unquote Juggalo gangs.
Yeah, for sure.
They were local packs of scrubby shitty kids who wanted to do crimes together and also liked ICP. You know, this was MySpace era shit where, you know, you just got with local people who were into the same shit that you were, and then it just kind of snowballed, you know. And these school kids, you know, they thought they were hard and they had strength in numbers, you know, while they do vandalization bullshit, you know, and there are goofy people who have done weird things in the name of like being a juggalo or whatever. They have done things that have had like, you know, listen to ICP and had like Hatchet Man tattoos or whatever. And, you know, some of them are like hate crimes and shit. And like every time, like ICP is one of the first, you know, like between them or their manager, they're out there saying like, this is not us. Like, this guy did absolutely not fucking represent us. That is not our shit. Like, this, anyone who listens to what we, you know, to what we stand for knows that like, that's not us.
Another, you know, I'm talking about how you like these other bands. Another thing, rap, that you have that is kind of rare in music is like Ozzy Osbourne and Marilyn Manson. People have tried to pin violent acts, namely a murder or two, on you guys for the music you've made. What's your response to that?
This is my response every time to that, man. It's like, if you got, it don't matter who you are. You know what I'm saying? If you got people listening to what you're saying, there's gonna be a bad seed in every bunch. You know what I'm saying? Look at Jack the Ripper. He probably bumped the shit out of Mozart. You know what I'm saying? Did Mozart catch flack from Jack the Ripper stabbing up some prostitutes?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I just know we ain't nobody's fucking fault for committing a crime. You know what I'm saying? We're a part of entertainment.
Right.
I mean, you can't see that. You're sick to begin with.
Right.
You
You're
fucking go
entertainment,
kill somebody because of our record? Come on, man.
There's
Is that
something
our
wrong
fucking
there.
record's fault? You're a
got something
killer,
snapping up
motherfucker.
there, man.
You know what I'm saying? You're a killer. We just a rap group, man. We're just entertaining you, man. We believe in what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean we fucking would ever mean to go do anything crazy. We believe in what we're saying. We believe in the Dark Carnival. If you get some twisted fucking illusion out of that, you think you need to go kill somebody, fuck you.
And you know what the funny part is? Like, for like all the flack we catch for like, you know, oh, these people murder somebody with your music. You know how many more reports we get of people, man, by your music, you turn my life around and saved my life.
And I'm sure there's like actual gang members who also like and listen to ICP and committed real crimes while having like Hatchet Man stick and poke tattoos, but like that doesn't mean that all Juggalos are a gang.
I think what it really was is a really easy way to give, whether it's feds or local authorities, instant probable cause.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's exactly what it was.
You know, when there's that many people in any audience of anything, there will be criminals. And if it's easy to brand these guys as the bad guys, that just means anytime you're interacting with a person of that community, you have instant probable cause or reason to investigate or whatever. And it's really pathetic, really.
Yeah, and especially in like the small town, you know, fucking bumfuck nowhere towns where
now we can fuck with these
they
kids
have
forever.
They have no idea what ICP is about at all.
Yeah.
They have no reference to any of this. They know there's a couple kids who wear clown paint and like to spray paint on the side of a building, you know, and so like anytime like they see this judgment come down from the FBI that's like these are gang members. And now all of these kids who do, you know, might do minor crimes that even if they're not, like maybe they're just kids going to the fucking mall and they dress goofy and they got weird braids in their hair and they sometimes wear clown makeup. Like now these kids are in a gang and every time that they have when they see them next, their job is now to approach them like they're gang members.
Yeah. It's really despicable. It's like very the next gen of like the original Satanic Panic, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like there has to be, and I might be interested enough to research it later, but there has to be some interesting legal theory about intent when it comes to organized crime. Like, I wonder how many other groups have been considered gangs by the federal government without intent. Like, even like Antifa. Our government has like declared that they're not an organization, right? It's too loosely tied. It's just an ideology, which I tend to agree with. I think that, although to be fair, there are exceptions of like actual networks of people that use the name Antifa, whatever. Besides
right,
the point.
yeah,
but
it's the same thing as like the Juggalo thing of like you have networks within under this umbrella.
But there's no intent from the top down, which is, it's surprising they were able to get this whole agenda passed.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with this country. Then all of a sudden they technically made it illegal to be a juggalo. It's like they took that one thing away that made me not have a problem with the government. The way we take it, it's like you didn't come up the route, everybody comes up.
Who's gonna step up for us?
You know, how would you fight this if this was happening to you?
In August 2013, a Juggalo street gang member was arrested on charges of attempted murder, battery with a deadly weapon, and possession of a controlled substance for allegedly attacking a cyclist with 2 meat cleavers in northeast Las Vegas, calling the man a snitch.
Maybe just try not snitching.
The lawsuit asked for documents that the FBI used to reach this conclusion. In August 2013, federal authorities had filed a motion to dismiss the case, saying they had already released several news media reports about Juggalos involved in criminal activity. The American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU of Michigan, began working with ICP's lawyer in order to, quote, ensure the right of Juggalos everywhere to gather together and express their support of ICP without having to worry about being unfairly targeted and harassed by law enforcement. That's fucking rad.
It's not too much to ask.
It's not.
You don't have to ask that of any other band.
I can understand why old people would not understand it.
Yeah, for sure. But
that's inexcusable.
Yeah. To go that far without, like, I don't know, asking,
Google.
Trying to search, Google.
Or Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't, that's the thing that I think people have gotten away with for too long is like, well, they grew up in a different time. And it's like, okay, that might set some of their predispositions.
It's the worst excuse ever.
Yeah, but if upon learning new information and like considering a different point of view, they still keep this, mindset, then they're an asshole. It's not they're just from a different time period. It's they're an asshole.
I hate the excuse. It's like my parents with technology. The excuse, I grew up in a different time. No, you didn't. You lived through this entire timeline. What do you mean? You were there for you were there for more of it than I was. It's not an excuse.
I can somewhat get some of my older like aunts and uncles like having issues with their phones. My aunt was having issues with her computer, and I was like, well, what kind of computer does she have? And my mom was explaining like, oh, she's got it's a PC, like she uses Windows. And it's like, Windows hasn't changed like almost at all since 95. Like they did some weird shit for...
You could have served a death sentence and it would be pretty damn similar.
Like it was like Windows 10 was like pretty weird, and like they moved it all back because everyone was pissed. But it's like, it all works the same. It's still the start button in the corner, and then your icons are on your desktop, and it's the same shit.
And we're really just talking about scary kids.
Yeah.
Like, there have always been groups of kids that like things and look different. It's just
but think
not
before
that
it was the kids who listened to Elvis.
Yeah.
That devil's music.
Punk music, Elvis. I don't know what would have been the thing before Elvis, but yeah, there's always been a thing.
Blues and jazz.
Then you had street orphans, pickpocketing. I mean, there's always been
fucking little Tiny Tims and shit.
Please, sir, may I have some Insane Clown Posse?
May I have a hatchet, sir? According to the National Gang Intelligence Center, there are more than 1 million self-proclaimed juggalos across the United States.
Whoop, whoop.
It is estimated that 85 to 90% of self-described juggalos are peaceful, non-criminal music fans. The other 10 to 15% make up the juggalo subculture's criminal element, which has been linked to numerous crimes including extortion, murder, domestic terrorism, drive-by shootings, drug trafficking, arson, burglary, armed robbery, aggravated assault, and weapon offenses, and has been documented collaborating with a wide array of street and prison gangs.
That's so fucking funny, man.
It's funny, but also it's the rule of large numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
You take a population of 1 million of anybody, of like you pick any social group, I would guarantee that 10 to 15% of them are in some way criminals.
I don't know what the actual... I think it's a little less than 10%, but your point's taken. I mean, it's close, yeah. On January 8th, 2014, Insane Clown Posse, along with the ACLU, filed suit against the FBI. The suit aims to have Juggalos no longer considered to be a gang and have any criminal intelligence information about the Juggalos destroyed.
Insane Clown Posse versus the U.S. Department of Justice. Well, tonight, the Michigan-based rap metal duo is suing the government over a gang designation.
Juggalos are being fucked with. We got to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? If that ties us into some kind of First Amendment movement, whatever. We're First Amendment warriors. I don't know.
In this country, we have the right to listen to the music we want and associate with fellow fans without being subjected to harassment or criminal profiling.
What do they do when the judge meets with the attorneys or whatever and decides if the case is worthy We didn't even make it past that stage. Fucking got thrown out of court 3 times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Never even made it to court, actually.
So, just people getting thrown in jail and, all this shit for no reason. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't important enough to take to a trial. Nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Let them go to jail. Who cares?
My question is, where's the fucking Calvary? Where's fucking Eddie Vedder? Where's Neil Young? Where's fucking all these guys?
Where's all these activists? You know what I'm saying?
Where are they?
Because it's not just an Insane Clown Posse thing. It's a First Amendment thing. It's a freedom of speech thing. It's, freedom to assemble. It's freedom of self-expression.
The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals ultimately ruled that the FBI's decision to list the Juggalos as a gang was not a final agency action, meaning it was not legally binding and could not be challenged in court.
Basically...
I get it. Yeah, interesting.
Basically, they're saying that it's not the FBI who's arresting and fining and ruining the lives of these people. It's local law enforcement agencies who are acting on it. But the only reason local law enforcement is taking these actions is because the FBI gave them the go-ahead by listing the Juggalos as a gang.
This is that thing we talked about a couple episodes back where it's the loopholes of responsibility. The longer the chain of custody or decision making or control is, the more loops there are for people to divert responsibility. So the FBI saying, hey, we're not the one arresting, we just gave out a mandate, and then the court's able to say, hey, this wasn't even a final agency action, we can't make a decision on this, and then it's just onto the local authorities, when it really all stems by federal government decisions at the level of the FBI.
So basically the idea was they're like, well, you can't go after the FBI for this. You have to go after, if you have a problem with all these local authorities, you have to go after them. And it's like, there's thousands of cases.
Yeah, take it up with the sheriff.
Yeah, it's like, okay, how do you pick and choose all of these cases, to go through and have these people organize all the details, ICB's trying. This was their second lawsuit against the
Backed
FBI
by the ACLU. Yeah,
exactly. And they're just, it's just 2 guys in Detroit, and they've made a lot of money on the music, but they don't have enough money to pay for the legal bills of every Juggalo.
No. According to Wired.com, the FBI warns that, quote, Juggalos' disorganization and lack of structure within their groups, coupled with their transient nature, makes it difficult to classify them and identify their members and migration patterns. Actually, all the feds would have to do is wait for an Insane Clown Posse tour to roll through town. But that's what Brian Rafferty did last year for a Wired profile on Juggalo Nation. His description of the Juggalo threat is as follows.
Juggalos tend to feel that they've been misunderstood outsiders their whole lives, whether for being overweight, looking weird, being poor, or even just for liking ICP in the first place. It's a world where man boobs are on proud display, where long hairs and pink hairs mingle, where nobody makes fun of the fat kid toweling off near Lake Hepatitis. For them, the gathering is a place they can be accepted, a feeling reinforced by the constant chants of the Juggalo credo, family, family.
That is scathing. What the fuck, Brian Rafferty? Holy shit. He went hard as fuck. Honestly, that was a good little blurb, though.
Yeah.
On September 16th, 2017, an estimated 1,500 Juggalos gathered in front of Lincoln Memorial to organize a concert and an all-day rally in protest of their gang classification and a class-based discrimination by law enforcement.
In an interview with Rolling Stone, Violent J said of the march, "What would anybody do? How would anybody fight the gang label? Obviously, the FBI don't give a fuck. They're not going to cave in as they see it. All we can do is hopefully reach the people of the country. How are we going to legally, peacefully reach these people? The way it's always been is you do a march on Washington that makes as much noise as you can."
Anyhow, to all you Juggalos here today, and to the non-Juggalos here today, hear me right now. To the ninjas, hear me. To the ninjettes, hear me. To the regular women, children, and men. To the irregular women, children, and men. To all ages of life, from fetus to fossil. to all shades of human life within the entire color wheel spectrum. The red lives, the brown lives, the white, the green, and the yellow lives. To full breed lives, to half breed lives. And breed lives, listen. I believe that's inbred lives. That's just how I say it, because I'm inbred. All tones from the pasty, porcelain dial, fluorescent MJ bright tone lives, to the midnight cold, oil soaked, void of light, dark tone lives listening. From the transparent lives, the sequence, emerald green, hue diamond blue lives, to the flashing strobe and pulsating, and changing to the beat lives listening. To the homies, to the cronies, to the lonelies, to the phonies. We don't judge or discriminate for nobody, for nothing. Everybody's welcome under this big top. Yeah, you should be loud because you're the crowd to be proud. And right now, we couldn't be possibly prouder than we are to have you very people right here representing us today, right now, here at the Juggalo March on Washington, D.C., 2017. Thank you, motherfuckers. Be loud, everybody, because you're the crowd to be proud. Yeah. Hell yeah. You're making history. And you know damn well in your hearts, we're the good guys here today. Real shit. You can feel it in your gut. We're the good guys. We're actually in the right this time.
You know, I like that. It, as obviously futile as that will be, and I'm sure as futile as it went, I really like that like action to engage on it, you know?
Yeah. It made, if nothing else, it brought it to some people's attention.
Yeah.
Maybe people saw it and they looked away, but some people were made aware by it. And that's what's important.
I even like the idea alone of just forcing the people that are making those decisions to see you.
Exactly.
It does something. I shouldn't say it's futile, but it wasn't going to succeed, but it does something.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, even law enforcement officers are confused and unsure of the right course of action for the Juggalo community. Police Lieutenant Scott Conley has stated, quote, "Those involved in the criminal activity side of the Juggalos cause us some concern. If they are not involved in the criminal activity, they can do their own thing, as long as they haven't crossed the criminal element line. The attraction to that music or those people following that music, I have no problem with. When they start breeding disruption in the community, showing up in libraries to harm people with butcher knives up their sleeves, I have a problem. I have to get involved with the community."
However, some law enforcement officers have been firm in their assertion that Juggalos are a criminal group. Police Watch Commander Jay Mackinnon of Citrus Heights has stated that, quote, "Juggalos are a gang. I know sometimes they say they're not, but they are."
How fucking insightful.
Exactly. What a well-studied and well-read man.
What a fucking idiot. Our tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen.
Citrus Heights, I assume that's a Florida thing.
Sounds like it. Kelly Snyder, a former DEA agent, the Drug Enforcement Administration, officer who tracks Juggalo activity across the U.S., has stated that, quote, "It almost has the taste of a cult. The perception is that something is obviously not right there. It's not going to stop. So far, they are almost committing the perfect crime."
So fucked.
They may look like clowns, but feds are taking them seriously. The FBI has identified fans of the rap group Insane Clown Posse as America's newest gang.
When we first heard about it, we were just like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
You know
we
what I'm
thought it was
saying?
cool. We thought it was funny. Like, out of all the nation's top gangs that actually think we're a gang, we must really be out there. We took it like it was cool. We had no idea of any repercussions that were gonna happen because of that.
Yeah, it's super fucked the way that, I mean, we see it all the time anyways, especially with like political shit. The people that don't learn or they just choose not to learn from new information, choose not to grow through. And it's like, yeah, you might have run in with like some really shitty people who, you know, had Hatchet Man shit on, but like you can't force that on every single person. It's the same argument of like, not all cops are bad. And it's like, if you've had enough run-ins with shitty cops and you see enough videos online of shitty cops, it's pretty easy to make the conclusion that,
it is
all of these
bad,
cops
though,
are going
right?
to do violent shit. So like maybe hedge your bets, but like you can't be on one side of that argument and then, you know, turn face on the other.
To be clear though, I think we've gone down the all cops are bad or bastards, whatever rabbit hole.
Yeah,
before.
for sure.
And I think we've concluded it isn't good to think that way, even if your
Right.
feelings, even if you feel that way.
Right.
You know?
It's the same, but I'm saying it's the same
It's the
thing
same
as
thing,
like,
yeah.
same principle of like, you're taking an entire group of people and, you know, equalizing them to the, you know, on the wider scale, like a very few instances you've had run-ins with, you know, the people from this subgroup.
Well, it's really only like a leap and a hop from like a RICO act or like a RICO case. Like I don't fully understand or think RICO cases should even be allowed. It feels like so sketchy or a lack of conviction. Like you could so easily tie an innocent associate into a RICO case that I don't think it really should be acceptable. And I mean, it's the same idea. You can't just like group a fan base of millions of people into a gang off of very little evidence or actionable information. And I think it goes back to one of my core people problems. I don't think either of us are particularly intelligent, right?
Yeah, fair.
But we have high curiosity. And people I dislike often tend to be low curiosity. If I am a prosecutor and I see a bunch of kids that are causing crime in my community are wearing clown paint and fetishizing hatchets and wearing all this goofy shit, listening to this band called the Insane Clown Posse, and my instincts are to enforce the gang status and assume anyone who is engaged in this fanship is a criminal, I think you're just an outright bad person. Because this is something you should want to understand. Even if you hate the music, you hate this culture, you hate this group of kids and criminals. Like, even if it's all disgusting to you, there should be curiosity to understand what the fuck is happening. How are we losing influence on people to a band? Why is this music pushing them towards XYZ? Like, these are like, even if you hate it, you should be curious to understand what is happening, opposed to, no, this is a cult, it's a perfect crime, lock them up. Like, that is the worst, most toxic, bad person thinking.
Yeah, it's super fucked, especially in the way of like, I mean, they've already mentioned like it's so hard to track Juggalos as a gang because it's not a gang. But like when they try to, it's like there's like they don't move in any certain way. Like there's not like an organization of any sort beyond like, hey, we're gonna go to the show and like maybe they'll have an after party after the show.
You don't
but it's
just
like
grow out of gangs.
Yeah, there's shit like that. It's whereas with all these well-established gangs, I'm trying to think of the better word for it, but there's lore. There's like the understanding of like what started this gang and like what led to why are there so many subsects and like what they do. And like there's documentation that you can see like where these different neighborhoods are like territories. And
if you look at a real gang, there's histories of real events, right?
Yeah.
Things happened. There is paperwork of who did what to who, where and when, in which place that led to what thing, to these people getting together to do this, do that.
Mhm.
Like
and
there's real
there's top-down affiliation.
Yes, with intent, opposed to we're a group of kids that our music tastes could change and we could grow out of and leave this gang without consequence. It's like it's laughable. It's frustrating.
The other section I had here was a mission statement made by the manager of Psychopathic Records after an incident in 2006. The way he phrased all of this, I thought was a really well put thing, because it happened like right during, Juggalos have always been hated on a little bit, but it was right before the gang thing really got like serious. So you got all these people going on, and it was similar with like, I know Marilyn Manson was another one where people were like, this person did this thing and they listened to Marilyn Manson. So obviously Marilyn Manson must endorse his behaviors. And it's like, this is the largest leap of logic for no fucking reason.
Yeah. So the following is an abridged statement by Alex Abyss, the manager at Psychopathic Records, after a Bedford, Massachusetts incident in 2006, which involved a man who attacked people at a gay bar.
ICP has sold millions of records. And when you start dealing with numbers that large, it's not that unlikely that one of these purchasers may have already been suffering from some form of mental illness. Are ICP's lyrics violent? The answer is yes. But then again, you can find violence in almost every corner of our society. Violence and entertainment have been around for thousands of years and will continue to be around for thousands more. Any person whose brain even slightly works normally will realize that listening to a record containing violent lyrics, or watching an action movie filled with violence, or even playing some of the latest and hottest video games will know that when someone gets killed, that it's just fucking make-believe, and that no one gets hurt in the real world. It doesn't take a lot of brain power to see that ICP are entertainers. I mean, come on. If they ever were to hurt somebody, they would be rotting away in Jackson Federal Prison as we speak. Right now, I just love how the media always looks for someone else to blame, never wanting to place blame where the blame is due, on the perpetrators of the crime. This concept is just so fucking ridiculous. One of the top grossing films right now, and possibly of all time, is The Chronicles of Narnia, which I saw and enjoyed. But if a person were out of their mind and watched the movie, they might take their cat and tie it up and ritually sacrifice the poor animal to see if it would come back from the dead. Or worse yet, someone might grab somebody, beat the shit out of them, and nail them to a cross, and say they did it because they were overly obsessed with Mel Gibson's movie, The Passion of the Christ. So what would happen then? I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest religious films of all time. Would the media be sweating Mel Gibson about this? Would Mel Gibson himself be sweating it? Or would they come to the conclusion that this happened because the person was out of their mind? About a year or so ago, some woman down in Texas chopped her newborn baby's arms and legs off because she read in the Bible something like, "Sever off the limbs to remove sin." Clearly, only an idiot would place blame with the Bible. The woman was obviously out of her mind. People need to realize that we live in a country of 300 million people, and that a few of those people are going to be crazy. There's no way around it. Now, after this guy committed his crime in New Bedford, he took off to Arkansas. If you look at a map, Arkansas and Massachusetts aren't even close. So the big question is, what was he doing down there? And according to BostonHerald.com, the answer is, he was speculatively going down there to link up with the various KKK white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups that live down there. The perpetrator of this crime may have thought that he was a juggalo, but clearly, after further review, it's quite obvious this guy had no clue what being a juggalo is all about. If anyone knows anything at all about ICP, then you know that they have never, ever been down or will never be down with any type of racist or bigotry bullshit. In my opinion, the perpetrator of this crime committed these acts not because he was a juggalo, but because he was a neo-Nazi. He subscribed to an ideology of racism and bigotry, and was quite clearly, in my opinion, out of his mind. Anyone that knows anything at all about juggalos know that in no way, shape, or form will we ever approve of this type of bullshit behavior. Lastly, in closing, I want to say something to help educate the media out there, because I know that they are most likely going to be picking up my commentary here. Let me now explain to you what a juggalo really is. Juggalos are just like any other kind of people. They share a common bond through their music and culture. They like to gather together all the time and hang out with one another. They do this among themselves, and they also come out in hordes for our annual gathering of the Juggalos. They rarely fight or have problems with one another. They stay down with each other and consider one another to be family. Even though many of them have started off with very little or nothing at all, they do the best they can to live their lives each and every single day, and in general, they are very good people. Not to be looked down upon, but to be respected by the rest of society. And even though many of them struggle through their days and have it rough, they always know that they have their Juggalo family to fall back on. And we at Psychopathic wish them all the best. Not just to see them survive, as far as we're concerned, that's not good enough for them, but to see them all thrive and be prosperous. That's what we hope for every one of them.
That is a really well-written public statement by the Psychopathic Records guy.
Yeah, I thought it was well put, and I think I found it meaningful, especially considering it's coming from the source. It's coming from, the people themselves, to have them come out immediately and
yeah,
nope, that's not us. Don't put that on us. We have nothing to do with that. We don't support or encourage that.
And frankly, I think that's something artists, musicians, labels, whatever, don't do enough, is protecting and fighting for their fans, right? Like, I think this is a decent statement. It is solid, pretty good. I mean, it could be better, but it is a good statement to put out. And I think, honestly, it should kind of be expected to be put out. And I think oftentimes when an artist, a song, a band, whatever, is blamed for things, people aren't fighting back enough. And I think this is a really shining example of what a record label should do when their music is blamed for something that their music has nothing to do with and doesn't stand for either. Like, they're just so off base in so many ways to put violence on art. I really dislike it.
And especially with the hate crimes thing in particular, like,
it's antithetical
ICP,
to Juggalo.
The whole thing, like, if you actually listen to like ICP's lyrics and whatever, like, the people they're killing in their music are like racists and bigots.
And Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. Like, they're not killing people who don't deserve it. It's in their minds. It's judges and crooked cops and,
one look at their
abusing
crowd
their power. And
makes it very obvious what they are and are not about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the statement was good. I'm not trying to take away from it at all. I just think more people need to fight harder to protect their art.
Yeah.
To close this out, the following is an excerpt from an ACLU article. Although the Juggalos did not win in court, the case was very successful in other ways, including raising public awareness about the absurdity of the gang designation, causing the FBI to admit to the court that only a small number of juggalos were engaged in criminal activity, and putting local law enforcement agencies on notice that they can potentially be sued for targeting juggalos.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop, indeed. This was really fun, and I made some digs, but truly, I respect what they have built, and it meant, their music isn't as good or as talented as I'd like them to be, but the vision is there. Yeah. They have strong aesthetics.
I was going to say, now here's what I didn't ask you to do when you listen to that, is I should have said, before you listen to it, imagine you're 12.
Oh, dude, if I would have found them early, they would have been my favorite.
Yeah.
I knew that as soon as I
the straight impression of like the song about preacher killers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, touching little kids and shit, and then they're going in there and fucking murdering the preachers.
Yeah, dude, I know if I would have found this at the right time in my life, I would have been a lifelong fan. And I really do truly respect them. I have said for years, even like since high school, they were always a band. I just couldn't get into the music, but I always really liked what they built and what they're about. I think it's unfortunate that they've had to endure this whole gang status ordeal. But if there's any group for it to happen to, I'm glad it's them, ICP, Psychopathic Records, where they're willing to fight back, and they have truly what is really kind of a soft but very empathetic and understanding audience that is willing to fiercely try to protect their art. And I think that part of it's really cool. Like I'm not glad they're persecuted, but I'm glad it's them who gets to fight against it.
I don't listen to the music as much anymore. Occasionally I'll listen to some of their older stuff, and it kind of like
it's
feels. A lot of nostalgia, but I still relate to the Juggalo thing. I don't think it's fair. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a Juggalo currently. I don't really live that life as hard anymore.
I'd say the Trash Cats are pretty Juggalo adjacent.
Juggalo adjacent, Juggalo friendly atmosphere for sure. But it's there's a line in a song that was like after they put out like their first 6 Jokers cards, and there's the whole like reveal that a lot of their music actually has inspiration in like religious undertones and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
it's unfortunate,
like pushback, and they were like, look, even if, I think the line was, even if we're fogged and we're still not clear in 3 years, you'll look back and you'll tip us a beer. And I thought that was a kind of, it's goofy, but it's like, I acknowledge that in the way of, it was formative music, not just for my life, but for an entire scene of music that,
sad and lonely kids that needed something, really.
Yeah. Of so many people, but like above that, like through their actions grew an entire like pushing of underground music that was
underground, like, baby.
Yeah. You don't need to get radio play. You don't need to get, you know, all the shit. Like that was the, kind of the beginning of like backpacker rappers. Like,
strange music, similar origins, right? The industry
100%.
rejected us, and we're just gonna say fuck it and grind hard as fuck and build our own fan base.
Like, why do I have to pay this company all this money that we make on these records that they don't return? That like there's no return on it for us,
and they don't believe in us. They don't protect us. They don't do right.
All they're going to do is they're going to make us censor our music, change our message, change our look. And like, fuck that. That's so antithetical to what they're about that, they pushed without it, and they really built something incredible without any of that. I think at one point in time they had one video that played on MTV like once or twice, like in the mid 90s. And there was when they were with like Island or something, and they were like, fuck this, we'll never, like, they had ended up getting issues with that of like wanting the rights to their music back and all this other shit. And it really fucked them up. And like, okay, we'll never ever do that again.
They stayed true to their clown roots. That's for sure.
Yeah, and they helped other, artists get up too. Like they signed all kinds of people.
Most of them terrible, but they really they built stuff out of it. They brought a lot of people up and like created a whole. I mean,
it's a community.
Yeah, a lot of their fans don't listen to non-psychopathic music, right? Like this is like that might be an exaggeration, but they have enough like other music, other artists that they built under their
exactly. There's plenty
surface.
There.
Yeah. Definitely introduced a ton of people to rap through their whole scene. Yeah, it's really cool. I dig it.
Cool shit.
Yeah, I want to know what Chaotic Steel is going to build. I want to know what he's going to call his audience because...
Oh, man, we should have had him in on this conversation. I bet he listened to some ICP.
He had to have at some point,
even
if it wasn't his thing.
Especially being in Florida, like ICP went big in Florida for a while in the early 2000s.
So he emailed me like a couple weeks ago and he sent me a snippet from his upcoming project, and it was really cool. And we hadn't talked in a little while, and I was like, dude, as soon as he's getting close on his album. I'm not positive it's an album or what exactly it was, but it's the project he's been working on for a while, and he said he'd be interested in talking again. So I'm looking forward to it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Actually, I got I was scrolling through some music on I had YouTube music playing some shit, and it was just like, when you put it on and like 8 hours later it's still going and it's just reaching through your algorithm for shit.
Yeah.
And it pulled up some Chaotic Steel, and I was like,
sick.
because I had enough of it saved to, my previously listened to.
That organic steel coming up.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's cool.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, this was a blast. We got some big stuff on the horizon. Big, hypey stuff. Do we have anything we announce?
We ain't got nothing going on.
We got I'll give a little teaser. I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
We'll discuss it on our next freestyle. There is no problem in life you can't solve with an assassin.
That you can't solve with one?
That you can't solve without an assassin. You could solve any problem with assassins.
That can't be solved with an assassin.
Think about it. I want our whole audience to listen, just to think over the next week or two. What problem in your life could you not solve with an assassin? I challenge.
That's a strong thing to say after we've had 2 assassination attempts on a president.
You know what?
Both of them failed.
They just need to target practice more. just practice a little more, fellas. We can do this.
The first guy was a child. The second guy was old. It just
Did you see
whoever's hiring these guys, just pick a better
the second guy that just attempted it. The feds were, afterwards, researching him, like getting more information, and they end up getting warrants for the house, of course, and they get into the son's computer. Son's computer filled with child porn. So now the son's going to prison.
Oh, good.
Imagine how shitty that would be. Like, my dad just tried to kill the president. Now I have to go to prison for my child porn? What the fuck? Yeah. That is a bad week.
What a bad week for that whole family.
That's devastating, bro.
That's fucked.
Just some goofs.
It's but up, man.
Appreciate you guys. I feel honored now to be an honorary Juggalo.
Yeah, I can bestow you that title.
Thank you. I will bestow it myself.
Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
And that's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
That didn't work.
Oh, no.
No, I think we have to do it. It felt jarring.
Well, let's try this one. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Go fuck yourselves. Bye.
I feel like we should do it regular.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm not used to it yet.
You still got to leave all that in, though.
Perhaps.
Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trash Cats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZACX. Working on some new stuff. Got some big episodes ahead. And yeah, super appreciate you guys. Juggalo and non-Juggalo alike. We appreciate you, Trash Cats.
You know what? If you weren't a Juggalo before and you listened to this entire episode, you're a Juggalo now. Good job.
Claim the gang rep, right?
You can go to you can always go to the gathering, but you can definitely go to the gathering next year and put full face paint on and claim it.
Cat paint. And you can rep the Trash Cats at the gathering.
You know, just tell everyone you just started listening last year. You hadn't heard a single ICP song yet, and you're excited to journey on this new venture with a bottle of Faygo in hand.
Hell yeah.
That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
You know, they're very easy to make fun of. They're the poor white people that everybody has no problem mocking.
If you don't whoop whoop me back, you're no longer fresh. You're stale. The difference between fresh and stale is common sense. You're either ripe or you're not. Whoop whoop! Stale.
Juggalos became pop culture punchline a long, long time ago, and it has remained a very popular pop culture punchline.
But ICP used that punchline status to bolster their fans.
They gave us something to believe in.
Yeah.
Something.
Give you something to hope for.
Yeah, some hope.
We feel like whatever the magic is that's bringing us all together, whatever the magic is they're hearing, is the same magic we're feeling. So when they say, hey, you guys saved my life, or you guys this and that, got me through fucking school, you this and that, it's them that did that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit saved our life too.
I'm hiding under the floor like Saddam, but I'm doing it because I love it, and I'm underground, baby. Real underground, baby. I'm hiding under the floor like Saddam, but I'm doing it because I love it, and I'm underground, baby. Real underground, baby. I'm hiding